Hello, my beautiful friends. I am Laurel Bleadon-Maffei with Illuminating Souls, welcoming you to this episode of Sleepy Bedtime Blessings, a podcast designed to help you rest, relax, and fall asleep, all while deepening in your connection with your beautiful team of angels who love you so. I am an angelic practitioner, a spiritual teacher, and an encourager of souls. And I offer one-on-one angel sessions, soul mentoring, and a variety of classes designed to inspire your spirit. And you can learn more at my website, illuminatingsouls.com, where you can also sign up for my mailing list. So, the top of my webpage, you can sign up for my regular mailing list and you will be notified of my upcoming classes and other missives. And then further down on the homepage, you will find a place where you can sign up for my daily inspiration email blast, and you'll receive an inspiring email from me every weekday. So lots of ways we can connect. But for now, the angels and I are here to co-create a beautiful sanctuary for you, where you can receive and replenish, connect with your divine team, and if it is your bedtime, hopefully drift off to sleep. I realize not all of you use this as a sleep tool. Some of you listen during your waking hours. So whenever it is that you are listening, I welcome you here, and I am so grateful for our time together. There is a beautiful, sweet energy flowing in as I record this. So I truly feel the love of the angels and the divine realms with us right now. And just so you know, when I talk about the angels or God or the divine realms, I mean it without any religious overtones, more from a spiritual adventurer perspective. And you are welcome to take whatever I am saying and adapt it to your own belief system. Because I believe at the end of the day, love is love, right? However you language it or access it. You may not believe in the concept of God, but perhaps when you are standing in a beautiful meadow or at the ocean's edge or up on a mountain, you feel a connection with something greater than yourself. So we can access this wisdom, this love, this replenishment in many different ways. I just happen to resonate deeply with the concept of angels. And so that is the filter through which I bring forward this broadcast. So if you're new to the world of sleep podcasts or this podcast in general, it is a unlikely mashup of two of my favorite forms of self-care, the angels, and listening to a sleep podcast. I listen to one every night before I go to sleep. It helps me disconnect from my waking mind and drift off into that beautiful mystery that is sleep. I listened to this one actually, not this episode of course, because it wasn't recorded last night, but I listened to the most recent episode to help me drift off to sleep last night, and it worked. I'm happy to tell you it worked. So I can endorse my own podcast as a sleep aid. So I know sleep can be a different thing for each one of us. Some people drift off very easily. For some people, it takes longer. It's true for me too. Some nights I go right out. Other times it seems more elusive. The past few nights it's felt a little bit more elusive for me. Not in a terrible way, just I had to sort of mindfully disconnect and bring myself into a place of relaxation because my mind was still very active. And I wanted to create one more piece of artwork in mid-journey. I was laying in bed making art, and it was so delicious I didn't want to stop, even though my eyes were kind of heavy and I knew it was bedtime. So I finally had to put down my phone and put in a sleep podcast and bring my mind into that shift. It's time to listen to the broadcast that I am playing, and it's okay to let go, that the world will be here tomorrow, and I can re-engage in the morning. And so each of us has our own sleep rituals. And I don't know what yours are, but mine include listening to a sleep podcast. And I can't imagine now trying to fall asleep without one. So I hope this becomes an oasis of love for you. Just so you know, each episode runs about an hour because that's my preference as a listener of sleep podcasts. There are sleep podcasts out there that are shorter, but I don't listen to them because I don't like the feeling of knowing I'm coming to the end of an episode and I'm still awake. And I recognize that for some of you, you may need longer than an hour, and if that's the case, you can set up a playlist. There are over 227 episodes as of this recording, and I endeavor to keep the sound throughout the episode in the same tempo and volume, so that if you were to play episodes back to back, that there's no loud noise or trumpets blaring welcoming you to the episode, that they easily can be daisy-chained. So, isn't that a great term, daisy-chained? They can be daisy-chained. So you can listen to several episodes throughout the night, and you should not be interrupted by a transition from one to the other. So this part that we're in, this is Angel Time, and this is the part where I tell you about the podcast, and I'll be calling in the angels to join us even though they're already here. And this part goes for about 15 to 20 minutes. And then we go into story time, and story time can be just about anything. Stories from my own life. I might read to you from something that's in the public domain. We might flip through the pages of an old TV guide or cookbook, and story time takes up the rest of the hour. There are times that I listen to the whole episode, but I will tell you more often than not, I skip right over to story time. I don't know, that's just me. Maybe because I'm with the angels all the time. I love the angel part, but the story time seems to be the part that really puts me to sleep. So I'll always have in the show notes the timestamp when story time begins. And just so you know, I know many of you just listen to the angel part. So however you want to cobble together your own unique experience of this podcast, welcome. I am grateful you are here. So now, as promised, let's call in the angels together. I love sharing this part with you. So if you are preparing for sleep, just cozy on up and snuggle on in. And let's just take some nice deep breaths in and out. as we gently call ourselves forward into the heart of God, into the heart of divine love. And beautiful angels on high, I invite you to join us here. And I ask that you infuse this broadcast with waves of love and kindness and healing and light. Angels, I ask that you send blessings to each of our beloveds listening to this broadcast, sending magic and goodness and joy. So, dear ones, just take some nice deep breaths in, and I feel the angels. They are holding you in their hearts. They know what is transpiring in your heart and in your life. And so the light and energy they are bringing to you right now is calibrated just for you. So just receive. And I find it so powerful to imagine the room that we are in. So the room you're in, I'll imagine the room that I'm in, being filled with a soft pink light that is filled with divine love that is calibrated just for you. So use your imagination center to feel into this. Almost like a pink cloud of light holding you gently. And the softness of this light is traveling to your physical body and your mind and your heart and your light body. So just breathe into your heart, and this beautiful light is also filling your home, traveling to all that you love. And you don't have to send the light. The angels are doing this for you. They know your blueprint of love, and they know the prayers in your heart. And so they are amplifying this. So just take a deep breath in, allowing yourself to receive and replenish. Allowing the angels to refill your cup. That in this moment you need not do the heavy lifting. The angels are taking care of all of this and more for you. So take another deep breath in and release. And if you have prayers or intentions that you wish to ask of the angels, you can share this with them now or later. Also, you can always ask the angels for help with anything. Nothing is too big and nothing is too inconsequential. When you ask for help, it gives the angels permission to support you. A portal of sorts is created. So how can the angels help you? Not only the big stuff, but the little stuff too. So together, let's say, hey angels, I could use some help. And then you fill in the blank. I'll fill in my blank, you fill in your blank. So angels, will you please help me with this? Help me find my way. Help me find order in chaos. Help me find a path of ease. Angels, help make this joyful and light-filled. and rewarding. And just breathe. You fill in your blanks. I'll fill in mine. I just share some of these as examples. Angels help us experience lightness of spirit, fulfillment, joyful on purposeness. And just breathe and allow it to be so. There is so much love in our space here right now for you. It is expansive. And the angels are so grateful for this opportunity to be of loving service to you. They say thank you for the gift of you. You are precious. You are precious in this world and in this universe. You are a big, beautiful soul. And the angels are supporting you as you continue blossoming open to the beauty of your own heart and light. And the angels say thank you for your prayers and your requests for help. They are with you now and always. And they are supporting you in ways that are seen and unseen, known and unknown. So my beautiful ones, I invite you to get comfortable and drift off to sleep if that is your intention. And if you are operating heavy machinery, please stay awake. I don't know where you are right now, so you invoke the appropriate amount of wakefulness or sleepiness depending on your specific situation. If it's me, I'm listening to this as I'm drifting off to sleep. So I'm like, it's okay. Go ahead. Drift off. Nothing too important is going to happen here. We love you. We got you. Good job. You're doing a good job with life. Even when it doesn't feel that it's true, it's true. Life's complicated. You did good today. You are doing so much better than you know. And we love you. So that's your little pep talk from the angels in the universe as you drift off into whatever's next in the next few minutes for you. Whether it is about sleep, whether it is about going for your walk, going about your day, or the sweet dreams. The angels will stay with you, and we're going to move on into story time. So as we move into story time, I thought I would share with you kind of where my heart is in the moment. It is a Monday morning as I record this, and I have been contemplating the concept and the vibration of home and how meaningful it is for me and probably for you as well, and how home can show up in so many ways. And what invoked it for me was last night was the 2024 Grammys. I guess it was 2023, but it aired in 2024. And I typically don't watch award shows anymore. I used to love them, but I don't know. I don't have the patience for them now, and I don't know most of the music because I'm old and I don't understand anymore the music of today. I've become that person. But on social media, they posted the incredible performance of Tracy Chapman and Luke Combs performing Tracy's, I say Tracy as if she's my friend, Tracy's song Fast Car. So if you're in my age range, you may have a relationship with the song Fast Car. It came out in the late 80s. You know, the opening notes on the guitar that are so recognizable, right? They're a part of the fabric of my being. And I guess the story behind this is that Luke Combs is a country singer, and he's always loved this song, so he recorded it, and it's found a new life, a new audience, a new generation. And it's brought awareness back to Tracy Chapman. And so, on last night's Grammys, it opens up with Tracy Chapman playing the opening notes on the guitar. And she starts singing her voice. That song, it is a part of me. And Luke Combs also sang with her. It was a really beautiful performance, and the audience just embraced her, and you could see how much it meant to her and to everyone else, and what that song meant. And I had to watch it 5 times in a row, just soaking it in to my bones, right? Soaking it in. There was something about that song that I missed. I didn't even know I was missing it. But I needed it. I needed that performance. I had shared with you, I think on the last podcast, that I'm becoming so aware of things that enter my field that I didn't even know I was missing. You know, the images I'm creating on Midjourney. I remember years ago, I was working with a functional medicine friend, and she said, "You're really low in vitamin D and vitamin B." And she had me taking some supplements, and within 2 weeks, I felt so much better. I didn't even know I was missing these things. And that's how this feels to me when I heard the opening notes on her guitar and saw her face, and then she started singing the song, and I could breathe. It's like a deep breath. And I watched it, I don't know, 4 or 5 times in a row. I couldn't get enough of it. And I tried to explain to Wes what was going on, but he hadn't heard the song. He was doing something else in the 80s, I don't know. And but I thought this song feels like a part of my home. And there's several other artists that do that for me. And I wouldn't have said that that song felt like home before last night. I wouldn't have given it a second thought. I would have described other music that feels like home to me, but when I was watching the performance, it felt like a homecoming. Isn't that remarkable? So I was contemplating this concept of home, especially as light workers. You know, those of us who are awake to life beyond this life, right? The beautiful, vibrant energy of love beyond this 3D world we're in. There can be a sense of homesickness, which is a whole conversation for another day. And so I'm always treasuring these moments when I feel the vibration of home. And not even just divine home, I mean just, something about that song. And I think that's so cool about music, that a song can belong to so many of us in a deeply personal way. A song can feel like that. A book can feel like that. I think about, I think I've shared this story with you before, but growing up, one of my favorite books was The Outsiders by S.E. Hinton. And I read the book long before the movie came out. I know for many people of a younger generation, they saw the movie and then read the book. But I had a deep relationship with the book long before the movie came out. You know, here I am, this Jewish girl from the suburbs, so deeply resonating with these troubled young men, and I think they were in Oklahoma. And fairly recently, in the past, 18 months or so, there's a lovely gentleman on TikTok who is teaching himself to read. A very different background than mine, and one of the books he was reading was The Outsiders. And he was talking about how Ponyboy and Soda Pop, they were part of his heart, that he felt them in his heart, that how could this book speak to him on such a deep level? And I thought how incredible that was, that for so many of us from very different backgrounds, there are these themes, these songs, these books that reflect this essence of home to us. We get to come home to ourselves. So I'm still basking in the joy of last night's performance. I haven't watched it again, but I did read that Fast Car by Tracy Chapman, her version, is now #1 on Apple iTunes. So good for her. I'm glad she's getting to have her moment again. It's always so meaningful to me when people have their moment. We should all get to have moments, those moments where we are on purpose and in flow. So home is what I'm contemplating, brought about by that song. Just about any song by James Taylor brings me home, or Livingston Taylor, David Wilcox, Sean Colvin. I don't know. There's probably many more that I'm not even thinking of. A friend's voice, a friend's laugh. When I talk to a friend I haven't talked to in a while and I hear their voice and I think, oh, they're home. I don't mean they are home, like they're in their home. I mean, oh, they feel like home. I love putting on my comfy cozies at the end of the day. Wes always feels like home. When I met him, he felt like home. I was going to follow him anywhere. It wasn't just a crush, right? It just wasn't, wow, he's a cool guy. He was home. Like, I knew that within the first few hours of meeting him. Like, I almost couldn't breathe. I was like, he's home. He's my home. I recognized him right away. So, home is a remarkable vibrational essence, and I was contemplating this morning how I would be so honored if this podcast has that quality for you sometimes, that you feel the essence of a home where you are welcomed and loved. I was really blessed to grow up with wonderful parents. And whenever I came in the house, my mom was happy to see me. I don't even think I recognized it at the time. But it's how I feel when Wes comes home. I'm just so happy when he comes home at the end of the day. Or if I've been out and I come home and I see that his car is parked in front of our house, I'm so happy. I'm like, yay, he's home. I never knew I could feel that way about someone. So I want to share with you that beautiful essence of home today. I'll share with you, I think I've shared this before, but it's such a beautiful reminder that I feel guided to share it with you in the midst of this conversation. So, when I was going through my awakening between year 2000 and 2004, I really became aware of how homesick I was. Not homesick for Skokie, homesick for the realm beyond this realm. That I felt so separate from divine love, from the greater essence of my beingness, that I labeled it as homesickness. And one day, after crying in the shower about feeling so homesick and bereft, the angels came to me. And when I say that, I didn't see an apparition. I just heard thought forms coming through my consciousness that I knew was more than just my mind. And what I heard, felt, knew was the angels saying, you know, the challenge is that you have it wired that life here cannot feel like home. What we recommend is that you ask God to help you create a life here that feels like home. And to say, God, I don't know what that would look like or feel like, but I know that you know, so please help me create a life here that feels like home. And it's not that the next day my life changed, but over the coming years, my life would make dramatic shifts where the essence and the vibration of home became much more present and accessible. And I relish it. I bathe in it. It is so precious to me to have these moments where I can feel into the greater expanse of love. I can feel the greater expanse of me across the timeline of my life. I can feel the expansive love that has been paved upon my path throughout my life. And it brings me deep comfort. So that's what I am contemplating today. I think we often think of home as a physical place, and listen, I'm grateful for my physical home, meaning our house, our home here. But home comes in so many different ways. The laughter that you share with an old friend, you know, when the two of you get the giggles and nobody else would understand why what you're saying is so funny. Or that feeling of home when you put on that really great broken-in sweatshirt or sweater. I have some old shirts that I had when our cat was alive. Nicky. Nicky was a Maine Coon. And he was an awesome, awesome cat. We loved him so much. And he loved to be held and picked up. But he had these claws, because cats do. And they would grab onto my shirt, whatever I was wearing, when, for whatever reason, he would grab onto me. And if I wasn't careful extracting his claws from my garment, it would more often than not leave a hole. So he passed away in 2019. So these days, if I bring one of those shirts out from my closet and I see a hole, it's like, oh, a Nicky hole. I have one shirt that was my comfy cozy shirt that I would wear all the time at the end of the day. So it has more holes than not, because more often than not at night when we were, having a snuggle fest, I would be wearing that shirt. And there are so many holes in that shirt from Nicky, and I can't ever throw it out. It is my Nicky shirt. So home can come to us in so many ways. right? It's that shirt that has the stain on it from the time when that thing happened. Or a scarf that your favorite aunt used to wear. I have a scarf from my aunt. I have all the little treasures from my mom and things that she would not want me to see as treasures. I think I shared this story with you before. For my 60th birthday, my sister packed up a giant box to surprise me, and it was filled with old pots and pans from my mom. These were not fine pots and pans, right? They were old and scratched up and dented, but they were my mom's and our parents. And there's this big, like, cooking serving spoon that we called the Spanish rice spoon, because my mom would make Spanish rice, which really was not Spanish rice, so apologies to Spain. It was basically rice with stewed tomatoes and ground beef, but we loved it. What did we know? And so my sister sent me the Spanish rice spoon, which I still have. I'm delighted by. But she wrapped it up in this old, tattered dish towel. And as soon as I saw the dish towel, like, tears came. And I buried my face in it. I was like, Mom. And here's why I'm laughing, why it's funny. My mom loved beautiful things, and she displayed them. She had exquisite taste. And so there were so many beautiful things in her home. And here I am, getting all emotional because of this tattered dish towel. My mother would be horrified. She'd be like, oh, Laurel, there's so many pretty things you could choose from. But that towel, to me, I used it 100 times. It would have been on our counter. My mom would have used it. My father would have used it. That towel, to me, that dish towel, carries the vibration of home. So I hope you have some treasures that feel that way. So I know I've shared the towel story before. It's just so good. I wanted to revisit it because it makes me so happy. Yes, I still have the towel. And I have a less tattered dish towel from my mom that is on our counter right now. But it's not a daily, I don't use it every day. It's just there, kind of as a symbolic ode to my mom. And to my dad too. I don't mean to leave my dad out of this conversation, but my dad passed away in 2003. So I don't know, I associate a lot of these things with my mom, but I definitely have things from my father too. My dad loved keeping track of things. He was very organized. So I have old computer disks from him that are labeled in his handwriting. I have some other things of his that I love. But both my mom and my dad, right? I can go into my heart and they feel like home. And certainly this would not be a conversation about the essence of home if I did not bring up food, right? Because I'm a foodie. And food brings us home, right? There's a flavor profile, a smell, a scent, a texture in food that can feel like home. That's why I love going through the old community cookbooks from different sisterhoods, Jewish sisterhoods, because I can just feel them. I feel the women, I feel their hearts. I grew up with these women, even if I didn't know them personally. The food flavors, the combinations, they bring me to a place in my heart that is familiar and welcoming. You know, I think as we go through life, for some reason, the challenging things can be really sticky. And hopefully on the journey of self-growth and healing, we can release some of the sticky parts that aren't so good. Because I don't want to make it sound like I've had a very perfect life. Listen, I have had plenty of pain points that I have worked through over the years. If you had met me 30 years ago, I would have complained to you about a lot of things. So I don't want to make it sound like it's all awesome all the time. But I think part of this vibration of home request with God has helped me learn to amplify the parts that feel like home. Like pivot towards home. Imagine that we have, this is something that Josephus, the angel and the angels, has said a long time ago. They said, imagine you have a giant satellite dish on the top of your crown chakra. And now that there's Wi-Fi and everything, I don't know that this metaphor works as well, but it used to be. With satellite dishes, you would tilt them towards the frequency you would want to pick up. See, background in television from the 80s. I know nothing about it now, but in the 80s, there were satellite dishes, and you would have to tilt them to the right transponder so you could pick up the broadcast you wanted to download. So they said, tilt your satellite dish towards the broadcast of love, towards the broadcast of home, and let it flow to you. So yesterday was a really stormy day here in the Bay Area, and we're okay, so we're fine, but it was a really intense storm for us. And I kept saying to Wes, I'm so grateful we have this home. I'm so grateful we're with each other. I'm so grateful we're warm. I'm so grateful we have food. I'm so grateful we have a fire in the fireplace. We are so lucky. And I don't know that the me 30 years ago would have been able to feel into that. But I was so present to our blessings yesterday and not taking them for granted. Like, I don't know how I get to live with these blessings, but I'm grateful that I have them, and I bring that gratitude into focus, because that for me helps amplify the vibration of home. So from Tracy Chapman and Luke Combs, God bless Luke Combs for loving that song and re-recording it, to give Tracy Chapman this opportunity to come into focus for new generations, and to also let her have this homecoming for those of us who have loved her for a long time. Right? The essence of home of a dish towel, the essence of home of a old shirt with a hole in it from my cat. The essence of home of some of the dishes I make that just feel like home. A kugel. Right? Something that smells when I smell it, when it's in the house. The house is smelling like kugel. It's home. And so this is my invitation to you. I don't know what your signposts will be for this. And you know, you don't need to know right now. But what you can do is invite the angels in to help you become more cognizant of the things available to you that feel like home. Home in the best sense of the word, right? Not the sticky, icky parts. I mean the lovely parts, whether it is a song or a CD. I mean, how many do we call them CDs now? No, I guess now we call them albums. I'm of the generation that grew up with cassette tapes and 8-tracks and CDs. So there are still CDs that if I start playing them, I know every word and I know the transition from one song to the next. The kids these days aren't going to know that we go from this song to that song. And this is the song I don't like so much, but I listen to it because I get to the next song. Home, right? That's familiarity. Brings back memories. And so I thought for the rest of the episode, I'm going to go back to one of my Jewish sisterhood cookbooks. I love these things. Again, they carry the essence of home for me. And this is one from the temple my family went to, Temple Beth Israel, which was originally in Chicago and then moved to Skokie. And this one is from 1982. And again, I love the simplicity of these recipes. These were written by women who in 1982 had probably started going back to work, but still were the ones who were responsible for making 3 meals a day for their families. And we weren't yet addicted to fast food and prepared food from the grocery stores. So quite often it was open a can of this, pour in a package of that, and voila, you have a meal. So we're going to start with hot fruit compote. So there's cans of fruit here and you're going to drain them. So I'm not going to tell you to drain every can individually. Just know the note says drain all of these. So a large can of peach halves, a can of pineapple slices, a can of apricot halves, a large can of pears, a can of mandarin oranges, and a 1/4 cup of maraschino cherries. The maraschino cherries are what sucked me into sharing this recipe with you, because as a child, anything that involved maraschino cherries, aside from fruitcake, I loved. Because maraschino cherries were a party. I didn't know as a kid you could just buy maraschino cherries. I would have never let my mom leave the grocery store without buying maraschino cherries had I known that, but I didn't. So the other thing that I think is interesting about this recipe is that it's using all canned fruit, because back in 1982 we didn't necessarily have the kind of transport system we have now for produce. So produce was very seasonal. So you weren't going to find apricots in December. I mean, I don't know that I can find apricots in December now either, but you get what I mean, right? Okay, so we have all our canned fruit, plus the maraschino cherries. Magic. So in a saucepan, we're going to cook 1/3 cup of butter, 2 teaspoons of curry powder. Isn't that interesting? And 3/4 cup of brown sugar. Place well-drained fruit in casserole, pour sauce over fruit, bake uncovered 1 hour in a 325-degree oven. Refrigerate overnight to blend flavors. Reheat half an hour in a 325-degree oven. Serve warm or hot and accompanies any meat. And this is from Myrna Oslin. So it's interesting that it has curry powder in it. I don't remember growing up ever having anything with curry. Curry was not a flavor profile we were using. These days, we have a much more international flavor profile that we cook with. You know, if you think about going to Trader Joe's, the cuisines of the world are present. I don't know, the world might be ambitious, but you get what I mean. So it's interesting it has curry powder, because that was not necessarily something that we normally cooked with back then. And this is one that I really, really am guided to share with you, because it's a very 1970s, 80s kind of dish, early 80s. And it's okay if you're just if you're not in love with this recipe. I'm just saying, for some of us of this generation, this is going to bring back memories. So, 1 can of cream of mushroom soup. Right away, when a recipe involves cream of mushroom soup, do you already have a visceral relationship with it? Like, how many dishes that we grew up with, here in the United States at least, involved cream of mushroom soup? Okay, so we've got our can of cream of mushroom. Campbell's, of course, yes. 3/4 cup of milk. I'm sure this must be full fat milk. If in our house it would have been skim, because in the Midwest we call it skim and not non-fat. 1/2 cup of grated Parmesan cheese. back in the early 80s, it would be the green can, right? The green shaker can of Parmesan cheese. We were not going to a place and buying chunks of Parmesan cheese and shredding it ourselves. It only came in the jar. 3 cups of cooked hot noodles. Now, this is a fettuccine dish, so it doesn't say fettuccine noodles, but it's fettuccine noodles. And 2 tablespoons of butter or margarine. So in a large saucepan, stir soup until smooth, blend in the milk and cheese, heat, stir now and then. I love that. Stir now and then. Brilliant. And just before serving, toss hot noodles with butter, combine with soup mixture, serve with additional cheese, makes 4 servings. These are the flavors of my childhood. I don't know that my mother ever made this, but she made a version of this that involved tuna. So tuna noodle casserole. I think it must have involved cream of mushroom soup, peas, tuna, and some kind of noodles. Probably macaroni noodles. And breadcrumbs. I'm just saying. And one more that is definitely a flavor profile from childhood. So back in the day, I don't know if we didn't have access to it or we just weren't eating fresh mushrooms. You know, nowadays, if you're cooking something with mushrooms, you get fresh mushrooms from the store. But back in the day, we used jarred or canned mushrooms. So I don't know if they weren't available. But this is a mushroom and rice dish. So 1.5 cups of minute rice, uncooked. So minute rice was this genius invention because it saved women time cooking rice. We didn't know about rice cookers, but there was minute rice. So 1.5 cups of minute rice, 1 can of onion soup, 1 tablespoon of margarine, optional because we were big into margarine back then, 1/2 can of water. So if you have the onion soup can, you fill that soup can halfway with water, and 1 small jar of mushroom pieces drained. So combine all ingredients in a covered 2-quart pot and simmer on a very low flame for 15 to 20 minutes. Flavor profile of my childhood. I don't remember having this dish, but this is absolutely the kind of dish we would have had. Okay, and one more that involves frozen vegetables in cans of soup. Again, very apropos for the time. This is broccoli casserole. Again, I don't know if we didn't have fresh broccoli, but broccoli and spinach came in frozen packages that were rectangular and compressed. That's my memory of them anyways. So 2 packages of frozen broccoli, 1 can of the cream of mushroom soup. It's going to be delicious, you know that already. 2 eggs, 1 cup of cheddar cheese grated, 1/2 cup of mayonnaise, and 1 teaspoon of minced onion. Now, in 1982, minced onion may have meant the dehydrated onion flakes, perhaps a fresh onion, I don't know for sure. Cook broccoli and drain well. Mix all ingredients together and top with crushed Special K flakes. Now you've got me. A crunchy, crispy something on top. I'm in love. Dot with butter. Bake for 30 minutes in a 9x9 pan in a 350-degree oven. Delicious, I'm sure. Yeah, all of these recipes call for frozen broccoli. Oh, this is a great one. Okay, one more. I said that was the last one, but I have to read you this one. Broccoli and rice casserole. 2 packages frozen chopped broccoli. 2 cups uncooked minute rice. 2 cups cream of chicken soup. So we're changing up the flavor profile a little bit. 1 cup of milk. 1 large jar of Cheese Whiz, 2 onions, and 1 stick of butter. I can just taste this already. Sauté onions and butter. Combine remaining ingredients in casserole. Cook 45 minutes at 350 degrees. Serves 10. I don't think it will serve 10. I think it would serve less than that. But all that creamy goodness, Cheese Whiz, cream of chicken soup, milk, and it has a little broccoli in it, so it'll be good for you. So I love this cookbook, and I love all the other ones that I have because they feel like home. There's amazing cookbooks out there, right? And blogs, like recipe books for things I'm never going to make. But honest to God, if I was a housewife back then, I'd get some frozen broccoli and some cream of mushroom soup and some Special K flakes, some dehydrated onions. That would be how I would cook. So I don't know. It makes me feel like home. I love really good food too, but it doesn't necessarily make me feel like home. It just makes me feel good. But that green bean casserole that everybody always makes fun of at Thanksgiving, it's not that it's the most delicious thing we've ever eaten, but it's home, right? It's memories. So the story time is dedicated to the vibrational essence of home. And God and the angels, please bring to us more of these beautiful reflections of home in ways that make us feel warm and cozy and loved and joyful. So thank you for letting me keep you company. I wish you the sweetest of dreams. I look forward to connecting with you again soon. I love you very much. And thank you.